Welcome to the Reaper's Den. If you would like to submit a story of your own, you can do so on the subreddit, TheReapersDenOfficial, or email me. Now, enjoy the stories. It was a beautiful Friday in the midst of June. My fiance and I were headed out of town to attend a business meeting for the company we worked for. Being in sales, it is essential to be present at these meetings to always have a leg up on the competition. At this point in the drive, we were excited for the meeting and really looking forward to explore a town we had never been to before. Now, since this meeting would be an all-weekend trip, we decided to book an Airbnb, which we had never done before. I know most of you at least know or have had experiences with using Airbnb, but for us, it was a bit intimidating to be staying at someone's house instead of the usual hotel. Now, I've never been a fan of many hotels based off the past experiences we have had, so we figured it would be a nice touch to stay in a more homey environment for the weekend. Being new to using Airbnb, we scoured the app for a while and stumbled upon an affordable place to stay that was fairly nearby where our meeting was being held. We continued our drive to the home, and as we arrived at the house, I noticed there was only one front door. Not unusual for a regular home, but when we looked at pictures of this Airbnb, it appeared as if the house was divided to accommodate us with a bathroom, bedroom, and our own private entrance. Now, I understand that pictures can be deceiving, so there is a good chance that the entrance was around the side or the back of the home, like we had seen on other listings. I quickly brushed off the odd feeling and told my fiance we should knock on the door. After knocking on the door a few times, we realized no one was home. We ended up sitting in our car for about 45 minutes until the owners arrived. The couple seemed to be in their mid to late 50s. They were very welcoming, as if we were their kids returning home for a pleasant visit. That kind of hospitality is a nice touch when it comes to entering a random person's home that you'll be staying in for the night. And in our case, for the whole weekend. So we thought. They showed us around a bit, and we came to the room we would be staying in. It was their daughter's room, and she had moved out for college right after high school. There was a minimalistic approach to the room, only a bed with one nightstand and an antique dresser in the corner. After a wonderful conversation and hearing a little bit about them both, they offered us dinner, which was very kind, but we respectfully told them no thank you and that we were eager for a nice hot shower and to get to bed so that we could be up early for the meeting we were going to. The husband told us good night and that if we needed anything, don't be afraid to ask. We thanked him, and as they made their way to their living room to enjoy their dinner, we headed to our room to put our bags down and get our necessities for our shower. Now, at this time, we were coming to the realization that there is only one entrance at the front of the house that any of us would utilize. Also, the bedroom is not separated from the rest of the home, and we were essentially just across the living room from these complete strangers. For context, I am big on situational awareness and understanding my surroundings just in case shit hits the fan, then I know where to get the hell out of Dodge. Obviously, my fiance and I quickly calmed ourselves, because even though you can't trust anyone nowadays, they wouldn't be on an app that allows people to pay to stay if anyone had left a bad review or reported these people for anything suspicious, right? Maybe I was overanalyzing the whole being in a stranger's home, because obviously staying in a hotel is much more safe, being close together and stuck on floors with several people you have never met right next to your room. Haha. We finished up our ridiculous conversation, being worrywarts. It was about 1 a.m. or so, and out of nowhere we heard the floorboards creak right down the hall. My fiance is a very light sleeper, and so she heard this noise first and then shook me awake. The creaks continued for a moment. This was odd because the couple had told us the bathroom next to our room was for the guest use only, and that they had their own private bathroom on the other side of the home. We assumed that one of them probably got up in the middle of the night to use the restroom. That was until the floorboards creaked right outside of our bedroom door. It's hard to explain, but just like that feeling you get in the woods when you just know you're not alone, it was as if I could feel this person's presence on the other side of the door. Call it sixth sense or whatever, but when you just know. We remained calm while totally freaking out on the inside, just thinking, what purpose is there to stand right outside of our bedroom door? Then the crazy thoughts just kept rolling around in our heads like, what are these people capable of? There is nowhere to run. And what are they planning on doing to us? We just stayed as quiet as possible with our eyes fixated on the door, not moving a muscle. Then when we thought, maybe this can't get any worse, the doorknob slowly began to jiggle back and forth. Not in an aggressive way, but in a way where you can tell they weren't trying to wake us. Thank God I have a habit of locking doors no matter where we are. The door started popping as they tried to push on the door, jiggling the doorknob slightly more aggressively. Then that's when you could hear a slight breathing sound on the other side of the door. We stared at this door for what felt like forever. And then slowly but surely we started to hear the floorboards creak as they walked away slowly and quietly as possible. At this point we looked at one another and ever so quietly I whispered, as soon as we give them enough time to get back to their room, we will wait another 30 minutes or so and grab our things and get out of here immediately. So we grabbed our things as quickly as we could while not making a sound. As we approached the door, I told my fiance, no matter what happens, you run for that front door and get out. We opened the door ever so softly and crept our way to the front door. Just as we had the front door opened enough to slip out, we heard the couple's bedroom door open swiftly. We said screw it and slammed that door and ran out to our car, peeling out as quickly as possible from that house and out of the neighborhood it was nestled in. We got to a gas station several miles away from these people and waited on the sun to rise with adrenaline still pumping through our veins. It wasn't until then that we started to think about all the moments where we could have gone wrong. What would they have put in the food they offered us? What was their plan when trying to come in our room? And most of all, the innocence of the couple went out the door when they rushed from their room as we left. I have to say we are lucky, but it just goes to show you, even when people seem like the sweetest, you never know what someone is capable of until you're right in the middle of a bad situation. Needless to say, we deleted Airbnb, and we will never use it again. This happened to me back when I was about 8 years old. Growing up as an only child, I never had much to do aside from playing with my action figures and cluelessly riding my bicycle around the neighborhood. My parents were divorced, and I primarily lived with my mother. Both of my parents were great, and I can't complain about much from my upbringing. I wasn't always scared of the dark, and I actually found peace in the midst of the night when everything in life seems to calm down from the hustle and bustle of the day. All was well until one particular night that would ruin my feeling of security for the rest of my life. Like most children my age, I would lay down for bed around 8:30 p.m. and lie there staring at the ceiling, still holding in my rambunctious energy. I never thought about scary or creepy things until I started hearing sounds at night from the kitchen in the hallway. We lived in a ranch-style, single-floor home that was built in the early 80s. I would hear footsteps up and down the hall as if my mother was up grabbing a glass of water or something of the sort. I would get out of bed and check outside of my door very quietly, but always to find nothing and no one was there. It almost seemed as if once I could get up to investigate, the noises would calm to a halt or just stop altogether. At times I would hear whispers saying things like my name, or as if people were having conversations and I just couldn't make out exactly what they were saying. There were many things that happened in this house, even throughout the day at one point. For instance, my mother's keys would go missing, and she would think that I must have moved them, but I didn't. Cabinets would shut from someone grabbing a glass or a plate, but no one would be in the kitchen. These weren't just creaks and pops of an older house. This was something that couldn't be explained. My nightmares came true that one particular night when I laid down for bed as usual. I always kept my door open to keep my room cool at night, since the AC didn't work too well. As I lay there, trying my hardest to fall asleep, I was overcome by the sheer silence that was in the atmosphere. I started to hear my name, like someone needed my attention or they wanted to tell me something very important. I said aloud, "Leave me alone." I just wanted to go to sleep without interruption from whatever I would hear at night. No sooner than I thought I was drifting off, a shadow came into frame in my doorway. I squinted my eyes and really try and picture what it was. You know how it can be difficult to make out things when you're laying in a house of complete darkness? As I focused on this shadow, it seemed nothing was there. Immediately pushing my door to, I chalked it up to my eyes playing tricks on me. So I rolled over and faced the wall to try and fall asleep, until I heard my door creak open ever so slowly. "Mommy?" I said. And right when I turned my head, I saw it. 4 long fingers caressed the door frame as the door slowly crept open until hitting my doorstop. Then a deathly demon-looking creature, like straight from a horror, slowly peered its head into the doorframe, staring at me as if I was its next lunch or soul to dine on, and chuckle at the screams I would deliver. I completely froze and just lied there, staring straight into its eyes as it did mine, almost like it was going to say something or attack me. I mustered up the courage right after what seemed like forever and got out of my bed to say, "Go away," as I went to close the door. While walking up to that door frame, this demon or creature softly pulled its hand away and disappeared into the darkness of the hallway. I was so scared, but for the life of me, I couldn't dare go down the hall to get my mom. So after closing the door all the way for the first time in my life, I ran to my bed and buried myself under the covers, just thinking, "Please don't come back. Please don't hurt me." I fell asleep at some point that night. My mother asked me the next morning why I had shut my door. I told her it must have been by mistake when I woke up to use the bathroom. She never questioned that, of course. But from that moment on, even in adulthood, I don't like to sleep with doors open, terrified of the thing that might stare at me while I sleep.